Yes, folks, hello, welcome once again to MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. It's time for another action figure review here on the channel, and as you can see on the screen in front of you right now, today's installment is going to be all about the new G.I. Joe Classified Series Breaker figure from the Mass Device subline. So stick around, I'm going to give you all the ins and outs, ups and downs that you need to know about Breaker to make a purchase decision. Maybe you're walking down the aisle one day, you see him, you think, should I get it? Or you've got it on pre-order and wondering whether to keep the pre-order in. Well, by the end of this review, you'll have good, thorough, detailed overview of Breaker to know whether he is the figure for you. I'm going to go back in time and take a look at the packaging on the day that Breaker arrived on my doorstep. Then I'll get into the figure itself, talk about the aesthetic and visual experience, talk about the articulation and posability, then give you a rundown of all the accessories and added value. So we'll have a good look at everything, folks. We'll have a good look at everything. You'll know whether he's worth your money or not, whether he's worth opening up your wallet for. All right, well, let's get into it and let's jump back in time, visit past Chris, who's going to take a look at the packaging on the day he arrived on my doorstep. Okay, here we go. Here we are then, folks. Here's Breaker in packaging. Let's have a quick look at this for peg presents and for the mint in box collectors. You can see that it's the standard G.I. Joe Classified Series packaging that we get nowadays, with the kind of carbon fiber motif around the side, the logo across the bottom, the name of the character in the top left, and then the window showing off the goodies. Then we've got the little Mass Device logo to indicate that it's from the Mass Device subline. Looks like my Breaker's fallen loose of his little plastic prison in there. He's come out of the blister pack, look. I'm sure he'll be fine, though. Fingers crossed. Then on the back, we've got the digital render artwork here. Some Sky Strikers up there in the background. A couple of breakout windows with some key features highlighted. He's number 158 in the line. We've got the legal bollocks and malarkey across the bottom. And then, of course, the data card. Let's have a look at the data card together and learn more about Breaker. Okay, first up then, we've got this little kind of radio signal aerial thing. This is because Breaker's a massive fan of good old-fashioned, old-timey-wimey radio serials. You know, he likes listening to from the 30s and 40s. He's got a collection of them on vinyl and on cassette, and now he's modernising, turning them into MP3, and that's what that one's all about. Next up, we've got this mobile phone here, this cell phone. So Breaker's looking for love, folks. He's out there looking for love, and he uses his mobile phone to, because he's got a Tinder habit, basically. And that's one of the ways in which he's going to find the love of his life. He's using that modern technology to fill that void that he's experiencing. And that's what these speech bubbles are all about as well, because he likes to, there's a bar up the road from the barracks at the base that he likes to go hang out in that does a speed dating night. And that's what these are all about, the speech bubbles, about the speed dating. And then finally, we've got this little padlock here with the kind of 6 little kind of squiggly legs there. This is because Breaker's got a phobia of beetles. He's scared of beetles, and the way he combats that, he's got this kind of lockbox thing that he traps them in and throws them outside. Taking a look at the side here, we've got some painted artwork of Breaker. Not the biggest fan of that, really, at all. They've done much better on the packaging than those. In fact, is that AI? Is it AI? Better not mention that. It might set a few of the old social media drama queens off. Then on the other side, repeat the data card, the QR card to nowhere, sepia tone version of the artwork, and yeah, that's about it. More legal bollocks and malarkey on the bottom. So there you go, there's your package rundown mint in box, folks. I'm now going to go and crack this bad boy open because I ain't no mint in box collector. Get good and hands-on, get some man-child playtime in with Breaker, have a good fiddle about, give it a day or two, and then I'll be back with some review thoughts. So stick around, Future Chris is going to come tell you all about Breaker in 3, 2, 1... All right, folks, well, here is Breaker then as he came out of packaging. We're going to kick off the review section of the video now and begin by talking about the aesthetic and visual experience. And of course, because it's a Mass Device themed figure from that little subline that they're doing at the moment, you can see that the colour scheme is the cartoon colour scheme with the grey and black trimmings. So even though he's kind of an OG-13 figure, he's not in the greens, the OG-13 greens, he's in the cartoon grey. Otherwise, he's an interesting kind of mashup of vintage inspiration and the kind of classified modernization of the figures, because the color scheme and the broad design is vintage inspired with some little nods towards the vintage figure, as well as some cartoon inspiration in the color scheme. But then obviously he's been given this combat vest here, updated with the combat vest and the Joe Pro communicator thing, and just generally got a little bit more of a classified kind of vibe about him. So he's really interesting in that respect, because he's kind of all the elements of G.I. Joe Classified, cartoon nostalgia, vintage figure nostalgia, comic book nostalgia, and the modernization, the contemporary update, all mashed into one. Bringing him a bit nearer to the camera then so we can look at the finer detail, conduct a closer inspection of Breaker. And we'll start with the head sculpt there. And it's a sweet looking head sculpt. You know, I love G.I. Joe classified head sculpts. I've said this before, so it'll be no surprise to anyone who regularly watches these vids around here. Nice facial features, good contours in there, and nice unique facial features as well. He's his own character, his own personality on this head sculpt here. Got the beard and the hair in there to maintain that classic look of Breaker. Although the hair colour's quite dark, I remember him being a bit more kind of lighter, a bit gingerier in the cartoon, but it's a little bit more in line with the kind of comic book and vintage figure colour scheme there. Good paint applications on the eyes, good paint applications on the eyebrows, nice sculpting detail in the beard and in the hair. Yeah, it's just up to the usual G.I. Joe Classified series head sculpt standard that we know and love. Moving down into the torso, we can see that the main body piece here is reused from Grunt, so he's got the combat vest there, the tactical vest that we saw on Grunt originally. Obviously, had a different paint scheme with the blacks and the greys rather than the greens and the browns that we saw on Grunt, and a few different paint applications or decals. I think these probably are with the name, the rank E4, and then a different kind of display on this fold down kind of computer display piece thing here. The arms then are short sleeved, so he's got his arms on show with a nice watch piece on the wrist there. But it all comes together quite nicely. It does make him feel a little bit bulky. And I was having a look about removal. You're going to have to snip it off, folks, if you want to try and make him look like a more kind of classic cartoon Breaker without the tactical vest on there. But the colour schemes are good. You know, the black core of the vest with the grey pouches on the front, the different colour greys in this section here, the decals, the Joe Pro communicator thing there, that's all lovely to see. And then the black trimmings across the shoulder. Painted belt buckles. Oh, yeah, love a painted belt buckle in that kind of metallic gunmetal kind of look there. And this, of course, has got some sculpted details in it as well, including the holster for his pistol, some more kind of metal paint applications across here, the bit for his suppressor there. All lovely to see. And down into the legs, this is reuse as well, but this isn't Grunt, this is Mutt, I think, maybe. The pouches are reused from Grunt, but again in the black colour scheme rather than the brown colour scheme. Then we've got the painted knee pads, the black knee pads on here, and then the legs and boots, which I'm pretty sure were Mutt's, but Mutt might be reused from a previous figure as well. I'm never really good at remembering the reuse. But lovely, you can see the textured detail in there, like the folds and the bunching up over the top where the trouser legs are tucked into the ankle of the boots. That's nice to see. Just gives it some three-dimensional kind of character, a bit of three-dimensional depth. And there's other areas of texture that add depth to the figure as well, like the elasticated neckline on the top there. The way the sleeves are folded, can you see the textured detail and a little bit of kind of creasing and bunching up there under the arm, which is lovely to see. Again, just really brings it to life in that kind of 6-inch plastic form. So aesthetically, this is G.I. Joe Classified Series reuse at its best. It gives it that kind of uniformal element where it's, using, military gear that is commonplace across the Joe forces, but he's got his own unique personality brought to life by things like the head sculpt, which I'm always a fan of. I lean much more into the balmier stuff. We know that. Regulars around these parts know that. But you can't beat a good old-fashioned kind of solid toy soldier like this, can you? You just really can't. So, yeah, it's a thumbs up on aesthetic. This guy's just a big, solid concrete slab of, there you go. There's some classified toy soldier. Bam. Just right down the middle. Rock solid. And you got to appreciate it when they do that well, which they do. He's got everything, as I said before, he just kind of meets all your needs. If you're a cartoon fan, colour scheme, tick. Vintage figure fan, yeah, absolutely reminiscent elements of the vintage figure, tick. Especially when you get the accessories on him. Comic book fan, yeah, boom, got you covered, tick. It's just really nailing it. Want something a little bit updated? Got you covered. Tick. So, yeah, aesthetically, thumbs up. Very interesting. His shelf presence is a bit low. He doesn't stand out greatly in amongst the crowd. And I'm into the ones that stand out because I like the balmy shit. But, overall, good, solid 6-inch toy soldier. Love it. Okay, well, there's the aesthetic and visual experience. Let's now talk about the articulation and posability. So, ladies and gents, it's, spoiler alert, standard G.I. Joe Classified Series articulation. So if you're already very, very familiar with the articulation scheme, then please do avail yourselves of the chapter marks. I'll put timestamps in so that you can jump ahead and take a look at the figure with the accessories and add in value. Jump to that section. But if this is the first G.I. Joe Classified Series video that you've ever watched and you're not familiar with the articulation, or you want to know if there's any quirks or interesting elements to it, then stick around, I'll give you a rundown. So we've got a ball in the base of the skull and a ball in the base of the neck, which gives you a pretty decent down, pretty decent up there. You can tilt and swivel and go all the way around, full 360 assist if you're so inclined on the ball there, so that's decent. Mine's a little stiff even after heating. I don't know if you can hear him creaking. The mic's a bit far away, but yeah, decent as usual. Then moving down into the shoulders, it's the butterfly joint there, giving you some shuffle back and forth in the shoulder area. Peg and hinge there in the armpits. You can go full 360 and you can bring the arms up to there. Swivel at the top of the bicep and tricep. Pinless double elbow, that'll get you all to there. Then it's the pegged in hands, which can go full 360 in the wrist there. And then it's trigger, both trigger grippy hands on either side with the up and down hinge. Although the up and down hinge, the way the hands sit in that sort of wrist point is a little tricky to make good use of. Down into the torso, you've got the hinge and the ball, hinge in the main body, and then the ball in the waist. The hinge in the main body is a little bit restricted by the vest, but you can sort of pull it up a bit and then crunch him forward. And then the ball in the waist gives you good swivel, good tilt, good range of motion there. This belt, by the way, folks, moves a lot. I find myself getting it stuck up there like that and having to pull it back down just incidentally. Keep an eye on that if you're taking photos with him. Then it's the drop-down joint in the groin there, look, which gives you good forward. Really good Russian ballet splits out to there. Whoop. Then swivel at the top of the thigh. Nice pinless double knee that'll get you up to there. Swivel at the boot cut. And then the standard hinge and rocker for the ankles. So yeah, thumbs up on the articulation scheme. It's the standard that we've come to expect with G.I. Joe Classified series. Good, again, good solid slab of G.I. Joe Classified. Boom, there you go. Wide range of posability, good world of possibility in terms of the types of poses you might be looking to put him into for your dios, your displays, your photographs, your storytelling and stuff. So that's all good. The tactical vest isn't as restrictive as you might think. Overall, yeah, very good. I've had lots of fun posing him up and trying to find interesting ways of telling stories with him. So there we go. All right, well, there's articulation. Let's now take a look at the accessories and added value, shall we? And to get us started there, we've got Breaker's helmet here. I'm pretty sure we've seen the core mold of this before, but obviously Breaker is a communication specialist. That's the role he plays in the G.I. Joes. So he's got his earpieces and his little communication device coming down the side there. Nice to see the two different colours as well, the grey and black, just bringing it to life a little bit more. And then on the back here, we've got a little port, which I'll come to in a second. And of course, a part of the visual identity that makes him who he is, although it's not a kind of classic OG-13 look helmet. It's another example of it kind of being a bit classified-ized. The one he wore in the cartoon, I remember being much more simple, much more like a bowl on top of his head with a couple of earphones on the side. Then we have his backpack accessory, which is, obviously his back-mounted kind of radio communications gear. So it's got all like little aerials and stuff. And then we've got this aerial on the side with a hinge on it. So you can bring it down or get it up. A little panel on the front here in a different colour as well, and some paint applications. I love it when we've got paint applications with a little bit of reinforcing bar here on the back. Peg to peg it into his back. And then you'll notice we've got this hole here at the side, which is for this piece of cabling here, which plugs in to the side of the backpack there. And then you've got the other piece here that plugs into the back of the helmet in the port that I was showing you before. There you go. Just like on the vintage figure. Next up, we have the alternative head sculpt with him blowing out a bubblegum bubble there, look. Nice piece of pink bubblegum. Obviously, the sculpt is just as good as the head, the other head there. Good facial features, good paint applications on the eyes, the eyebrows, etc., etc. The hair and the beard sculpt is just as good as well. So that's all nice to see. But obviously, we've got this nice, bring him in focus, Chris. There you go. Got this nicely sculpted bubblegum bubble. Again, for the nostalgia crowd who remember him in the comic books, blowing his bubbles. And incidentally, if anyone's interested, the helmet fits just as well over the bubblegum head as well. Then we have his weapons loadout here. He's got this little knife, which is, always nice to see paint applications on the knives with the metallic colour on the blade. Then he's got a pistol with his with his suppressor that plugs into the barrel there. Let me just do that quickly. There you go. Plugs into the barrel there. This is all reuse. We've seen it before, which is fine. You know, they're just standard issue, I suppose, would be the way to look at that there. But all of this has on-figure storage. On the belt here, he's got a holster for his pistol, which sits in there like so. Then round the back here, you can see there's this little pouch, which I believe is to take this suppressor, but it's a very tight fit and doesn't go in there while he's got the backpack on. In fact, it's not a great fit with the tactical vest at all, but it's there. You know, it exists. And then he's got a little sheath for his knife on the tactical vest just here. And then finally, we have the mass device piece here. This is the meteorite dust gathered up in there. It's fine. It's a glass jar with some little bits across the bottom to give it some sculpted embellishments. I like the spangly gold color of the meteor dust there, which is nice to see. Obviously, Breaker, a key featured character in those episodes, you know, figuring stuff out and briefing them on various elements and what have you. So it's a nice fit. I'm not planning on picking up Snake Eyes and the polar bear, and I'm not planning on picking up the condiment divers. So that's just like a flavor piece that's going to hang around in my bits box, to be perfectly honest. But if you are looking for a complete set of the mass elements, then Breaker's got you covered. So there we go. The accessories are all right. I'll give it a thumbs up. He's obviously kitted out with small arms without any, like a long rifle or anything, which, is kind of okay in the sense of vintage nostalgia. Because if I remember correctly, although I'm sure someone will let me know otherwise in the comments down below, he didn't come with a gun or much in the way of weaponry for the vintage figure. So it's okay. And, I've got plenty of stuff in the bits box. The head sculpt is fine. As I say, I haven't found myself using that a great deal, and I won't see myself using that much, I don't think. However, I can totally see the nostalgic appeal of a Breaker blowing a bubblegum bubble, which is cool. The backpack and the helmet gear is fine, is awesome. Yeah, overall it's okay. It opens up your world of possibilities with your kind of displaying and the type of storytelling you want to do with him, and that's fine. It's just, I don't know, just feels a bit blander than usual. But I think that's just a result of being spoilt by G.I. Joe Classified series in the past. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up, tentatively. Okay. So there's Breaker's accessories and added value. Let's have a look at him next to a couple of other G.I. Joe Classified figures, shall we? Okay, folks, well, here is Breaker with fellow OG-13 alumni Rock and Roll and Stalker. And while I'm getting all OG-13 with it, let's do Breaker with the Retro Duke and the Retro Scarlet. Although I'm not sure display-wise, they're a solid fit. Oh, there you go. There's Scarlet with her stupid bloody feet. Took me ages to get her to stand up next to him there as well. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm not sure they're all that good a fit. Aesthetically, there's a little bit of a different vibe, isn't there? I don't have clutch either. I never picked up the vamp, otherwise I'd pop a clutch with him, And finally, here he is with Grunt, just to give you a sense of that sort of uniformal vibe that I was talking about a little earlier on. All right then, folks, well, here is Breaker making his way around on the turntable, so you can get a nice 360 look at the figure. Regulars around these parts might have clocked new turntable, folks. The batteries weren't dead in the other one. It was broken, knackered. So this is a bit cheap and cheerful off Amazon, but it'll do for now. It's not too bad. It's pretty steady. The figures are wobbling less. Anyway, what do you give a shit about that for? I'm in the weeds. Get back on track, Chris. What am I doing? Oh, some final thoughts then while you eyeball the character 360. And do you know what? He's just a good, solid 6-inch toy soldier. Is he the most dynamic and interesting figure in the line? No, he's not. But it's a wide church. He's got a little something for everyone. If you want barmy stuff, there's plenty of barmy stuff. If you want toy soldiers, he's a good, solid toy soldier. And while I walk the line and enjoy both elements, I think this guy ticks a lot of boxes. As I said earlier in the video, he's got something for vintage fans, he's got something for cartoon fans, he's got something for comic book fans, and he's got something for fans who like their classified figures a little bit more contemporized. So, I think he's a good, solid buy and is definitely a MoDXtra Games and Collectibles recommends on that front. No two ways about it. And I've had a lot of fun. He's been a bit of a desk figure for a few days now. I've dug out some older Soldier Boys as well and kind of mixing them up and getting the kind of more classic G.I. Joe kind of strike team, Soldier Boy strike team put together. And that's been fun to play around with. I've been enjoying that. So, yeah, he's solid, he's decent, he's worth your cash. I think the only criticism I had, as I mentioned in the accessories and added value, is that he's just got small arms, and I'd have liked, a submachine gun or a rifle of some description. And the mass device pieces, if you're not collecting the full selections, just a bit of a non-starter. But, I suppose cash value plastic, it's there. So there you go. Okay, folks, well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you found this useful, if you found this helping you out in terms of a purchase decision, then please do hit the like button. If you're not already subscribed, then do a subscribe. There's I was having a look at the stats. There's a huge percentage of people watching my vids who are non-subscribers. So do me the favor, feed my ego, hit that subscribe button. But otherwise, all that remains to say is hope you had a great day. Hope you have a great week. And please do come back around these parts for another video sometime soon. Done it again. I've ended with him facing the wrong way. Oh well, I'm going to wrap it up with his arse. There you go. Look at that arse.